Hello and welcome back to our next installment into how to explore soloing old raids and old content for transmogs and achievements. Today our adventure takes us through the Caverns of Time, the battle for Mount Hyjal. Probably the most tedious and time-consuming of all of the Burning Crusade raids because it is extremely scripted. You might be asking, Ultimus, what are you doing in Dalaran? That is a Wrath of the Lich King city. And to that I would tell you, yes, you are correct. However, the entrance or the portal to the Caverns of Time, unless you feel like walking, is located here in the middle of Dalaran, or I should say to the west. If you look on your map here in the Violet Citadel, there is a portal up these stairs and to the left, to which we will promptly enter in. Click. And now we are at the Caverns of Time. Ta-da! And I believe you should be able to talk to this dragon here, and he will take you into the portal or down into the main halls, which is a little bit easier than flying yourself, because then you can go do a bathroom break, or you can go AFK for a bit, or read up on the fight if you so choose. I, however, am going to take the time to do a little bit of an intro to this place. This is a level 70 raid, originally a 25-man raid. Very scripted. Again, it's very, very lore heavy though. The instance itself, or the emphasis of it, is that we have to go back in time and keep certain events from getting distorted. We have to actually make sure that they are followed through with and kept. There is a particular faction known as the Infinite Dragonflight who are trying to stop these things and change history around, which is kind of cool. If you follow that lore through the Wrath of the Lich King and even into Cataclysm, you find out that eventually the Infinite Dragonflight was born from a corrupted version of the Bronze Dragonflight, which explains why they have command and power over time and things like that. Now, even though this is a instance or a raid that is heavily guarded by and attacked by the Infinite Dragonflight, we actually never see a single one inside of Mount Hyjal, the raid, as opposed to the other 5-mans and heroics and things like that. So I thought that was quite interesting. Before we go any further, what we will do is we will showcase probably one of the cooler looking warrior sets in the game. And I know I say that a lot, but this one's got a special place in my heart. There's something about it. It just looks brutish and brooding and authoritative, and it just looks like whoever's wearing this means business. This is the Warrior Tier 6, which you're going to get a mix of this here in the Battle for Mount Hyjal, as well as Black Temple, combined with the Cataclysm's Edge, which is a drop off of the last boss. To me, worth raiding and soloing the whole thing just for an attempt to get this sword. There is a lot of cool weapons and gear in this particular raid. Amazing bows, I think, staves, staves. So definitely worth your time, though I do recommend bringing friends just to pass the time, because again, you will spend a lot of time waiting around. But yeah, so here is one last glimpse at the Onslaught set before we get started. Now, as you can see here on our map, we're looking at a bunch of different portals. Again, you may be familiar with all the 5-mans and the Dragon Soul raids themselves, the Cataclysm 5-man heroics, and up here in the north we have the battle for Mount Hyjal. So we're going to head on in and get started. Now, upon entering into the raid itself, you're going to see 3 entrances, one over here to the left, one in the center, one to the right. These will all take you to the different portions of the raid itself, but they are not accessible until you have gotten up till that point. So you will have to enter into the front over here, but say you have to call it halfway through and whatnot, then you will be able to pick up right where you left off from these portals instead of walking. Gems and some jewel crafting supplies can be bought here, and it is worth mentioning, any of your tier 6 tokens from Black Temple and Battle of Mount Hyjal will be purchased here from this Blood Elf. As you can see, they're all here. Sets for tanking and DPS, obviously it doesn't matter because they look exactly the same, unless you're going for like a level 70 twink, I suppose. But this is where you will purchase them. There is no other place to purchase them. Now, upon entering the raid, it's going to drop you right here, just kind of nonchalantly. As you can see, the map itself is quite big. We have boss points here, here, and over here. You'll fight 2 bosses here and here, and then the last boss will be over here on his own. Now to start the encounter, you can walk anywhere, do anything, but in order to start the encounter, you do have to talk to each of the faction leaders. So for this particular section, it is Lady Jaina Proudmoore. Talk to her, and then as you can see, the counter starts up top, tells you what wave you're on and how many enemies. You cannot, unfortunately, skip ahead. It is very linear, to where in order to go through this, you have to do boss 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6. Probably just for the sake of time in this video, there will be a lot of cutting and pasting just to keep it short, or else the video will probably be an hour long, and that's no fun to watch. Because of that, and I don't think I can ramble for that long. I mean, usually I do a pretty good job of just spouting random things off the top of my head, but that probably wouldn't be very entertaining. Some noteworthy loot in here after we dispatch this particular mob. You're gonna fight an assortment of different mobs in here, most of them undead, simply because the lore that you're facing here is a lot of the Scourge itself invading this particular section. This is going back to like Warcraft 3 lore. You can see the original event of this happening and everything going on here in Warcraft 3. You can look up the cinematics on YouTube, or you can play the game yourself if you're into RTS games. Some noteworthy loot. Any of the trash mobs, they drop these pretty beauties. The Fist of Molten Fury, I love them on my Enhancement Shaman. They look great for warriors as well if you're single-minded Fury with fist weapons. Lots of random off pieces, a couple different weapons, some cool staves, nifty stuff. A lot of your off pieces, like your belts and your boots and things like that in here, until you get to your tier gloves. And then Archimond himself, which drops some bigger weapons, and your helm. So again, as you can see, there's just a lot of waiting around for the mobs to summon and spawn. And there's no way to force it to go any faster. I mean, you could, I suppose, walk up and kind of wait for the mobs right there as they do enter the battlefield from over here. Just to kind of keep it progressing at a decent pace, I suppose. Sometimes I do when I get bored. Just move up forward and see what happens. This place is very, very soloable. The only issues I've ever had with it were, for some reason, whenever I try to come in here on my Death Knight, one of the later phases bugs out to where I can never get any of the trash to finish being pulled, and so then I instantly lose. So it's really interesting. I don't know if it's something I'm doing or if it's just a bug in the game, but I've never been able to come through here with my DK because of it. I feel like sometimes soloing these old raids with classes that have pets or minions tends to get a little complicated sometimes. You will pick up a lot of netherweave cloth in here, which can be worth it to sell. Again, tends to sell pretty high, just like again all the other raids that we've gone through with netherweave cloth. Tends to sell for a decent chunk of gold on the auction house. And there's our first boss. Oh, and there's a Fist of Molten Fury. That's kind of awesome. Just in case, I'll hang on to that. Now this boss can give you some trouble because he will freeze you in place and drop a Death and Decay. Death and Decay does deal percentage damage, so it will hurt. And he's really bad, or good I suppose, at freezing you in place and then trying to drop a Death and Decay. So here we're frozen again. And so the Death and Decay should probably come out anytime soon. So I'm kind of going to sit here and hold off to my trinket just to get out of the way, because you can see it drops. Wherever that black stuff is where it's going to hit you. As you can see, it has a pretty wide range there. So this fight can get a little bit dicey. If you want, if you're kind of under geared, take the time to bandage up while you're dodging out of the Death and Decay, pop any self-heals, things like that. We're going to pop cooldowns and try to get rid of him as quick as we can, just because we don't want to waste too much time here. For fights like these, Stormbolt for warriors is an awesome skill, as it does a ton of damage to all these bosses because they are unstunnable. And it's on a pretty low cooldown. So I think if I were to recommend any talents for soloing things, if you're going in as Fury, single-minded Fury Dragon's Sword is great, because the Fury is ultimately better for single target DPS as a warrior anyways. And then Avatar or Stormbolt. Stormbolt, again, just kind of the better choice simply because it's on the 30-second cooldown and it does that 500% weapon damage to targets that are immune to stuns. After each boss, you have to go back and talk to the faction leader again. So after we finished him, now we go back and talk to Jaina again. So take that time in between to mana up, heal up if you need it. Standing next to Jaina, if you stand in that aura, it actually gives you a buff to your spirit by I think 400%. Stand here, and it gives you, so just 100%. So just restores your health and your mana specifically quicker, which is quite helpful. So that first boss is probably the biggest challenge in here for melee. I suppose I should probably clarify that. Probably for melee. Casters probably wouldn't have too much trouble with it because they stand far enough away. You'll still want to watch out for the death and decay, as again it just can get out of hand really, really quickly. You will see a lot of crafting plans dropping here as well. I'm really excited that fist weapon dropped. I don't even use fist weapons on my warrior, and I might have to for Fury now just because reasons. Second boss is incoming after we dispatch the 8 waves. He himself will summon demons down to fight him as well. Big surprise, demons cheating and summoning more demons. Keep an eye on these debuffs. Again, if you're coming in here undergeared with a healer or you're relying on healing yourself through stuff like this, that Carrion Swarm will debuff you down to reducing your healing by 75%. It can get a little bit dicey. But again, as you can see, the Infernal, not too much health, only 155k health on them, so they go down pretty easily, especially if you're well geared. Oh, cool sword. Cool little one-hander. And the staff. But yeah, that's all you really have to worry about him. Just keep an eye on that debuff. If that's a concern of yours, if you're worried about dying or if you're undergeared. I have been soloing this, at least in Mists of Pandaria, since Malevolent Gladiator season, so that was season 13, so just very, very beginning of Mists of Pandaria. So after that second boss is when we talk to Lady Jaina Proudmoore. She pieces out, and we do the same, and we keep moving. So now you're actually going to head up this way. At first, the map was kind of confusing. I was like, where am I going? Until I looked at the map, and then I said, hey, this is where I go. We're going to follow the brown cobblestone road. Up and around. Careful, don't fall off the mountains. You'll see gargoyles down there attacking houses, but we need to not pay that any attention. We have bigger fish to fry. Demons to slay, not houses to save. Call the Hyjal City Fire Department. You see, we're going to follow this road all the way up around until we get up here to this skull right up here. So lots and lots of walking. Through the magic of editing, we have pulled up in front of the Horde base camp. Ha! And this is the next leg or section of our Hyjal Summit raid. We switched from defending the Alliance encampment to now the Horde. Lore-wise, I've never wondered why they weren't bothered that we were humans and helping them, but Thrall's always been fairly diplomatic, so he's a cool guy. And there's some nostalgia for you guys. Old Thrall model. Old Thrall model. It's going to look even weirder after Warlords of Draenor comes out and all the models are updated. I wonder if they'll come through and update all these guys as well. I can't imagine they wouldn't. But if you're coming through here, screenshot that one, kids, because that is old Thrall model right there. That's a piece of history. He doesn't even look this way anymore since Cataclysm. Alright, so again, what we're going to do is we're going to talk to Thrall, and we're going to get this party started. Again, same thing, I believe we have about 8 waves invading enemies. This one tends to be more of a nuisance than the last one because now we start dealing with flying enemies, which can be a pain in the butt for a melee class. Though it is possible if you take advantage of hitboxes using clever usage of game mechanics. Most of your waves are going to start here. The first few waves will start coming up this way from the front gate you just came in. So we're going to go say hello. The thing that's really a pain in the butt with this section is that these guys can drop anywhere. So you'll see them mostly at the front gates and mostly back here behind the Tauren huts up with the trolls. But they can go all the way up, even up to that back section over there. So that can be a little bit of a nuisance. And the thing you got to keep in mind too is if all of these troops die, then you lose. So we don't want that to happen. So that's why we're trying to get them down as best as we can. And then sometimes you will have enemies on both sides, and so you'll want to keep an eye out for that, because you'll have just a ton of guys over here, and then you'll have guys back here. And if you're one person struggling to get stuff down because it's flying as a melee class, that can be a bit stressful and a pain in the butt, because then there's really nothing you can do about it. Next boss is incoming. He has our sword. I think it looks better on me personally. Typically I like to start these boss fights off by taunting, and then if we can, kiting them back to where Thrall is at, just because the extra damage is nice. It makes our lives a little bit easier. So we're gonna heroic leap all the way back here. Bring Thrall into it. Thrall, save us! He does have a stun. He stole the Tauren racial and war stomps you. Maybe it's a hoofed creature thing. Not too much to worry about for this boss though. It's pretty straightforward, just mostly a stuns. This one gets to be a bit of a pain. Movement speed and time between attacks increased by 75%, and he does reduce your strength, or I believe just your main stat. But usually by the time he drops it on you, he's down pretty low anyways, so it shouldn't be too much of a pain. That's about it. Unless you just burst him down anyways, then down he goes. What do we get? Oh, rogue lookalikes, nifty, and cloth belt. Sell. And again, just like the last stage, talk to Thrall again once you're ready to keep the encounter going. Same thing, tells you what wave you're on, how many enemies. And you will fight the same enemies again, you know, lots of ghouls, abominations, gargoyles, and frostworms, and cultists. Lots and lots of cultists, creepy cultists. Nobody likes a cultist, unless you're a cultist yourself. Then you probably love cultists. Oh, you know what? You also will fight some infernals this time around. Infernals will start raining from the sky with a jump and a slash. I got you, Thrall. Don't worry. I feel like this is like our cool Jurassic Park run. Sorted. I thought that Infernal was gonna hit the hut. That would have been cool. Probably ruining someone's immersion somewhere, but Infernals always reminded me of giant green marshmallow men. Like, I know they're like rocks with fell fire, and they're supposed to be really intimidating. And I'm sure I would be scared if this was like a real thing. But in game, they just look like marshmallow men. It's getting jumped by the Taurens and trolls. And finally, do my eyes deceive me, but the last wave. The last wave of invading enemies. There comes our last boss. Asgalor. He's a pit lord. And same strat, we're gonna kite him back if we can to Thrall. And we're not gonna waste time with him, we're just gonna pop our cooldowns and go for it. He does have a silence mechanic, so that's worth mentioning. If you are a caster, watch out for that. Or a hybrid class like a shaman, that will require casting for some of your spells as an enhancement shaman. But again, he drops your gloves that you need for your tier 6, Some pretty dope looking leather pants, which ironically I want on my monk, but I can't get them to drop for her. And again, as you can see, we'll always drop 3 tokens, but they can be doubles and triples, so keep an eye out for that. Even if you don't need them, to me they're worth picking up for the 5 gold. Gold is gold. Warrior gotta eat, right? And just like last time, we tell Thrall we're peacing out, he's peacing out, we're all done. And now we can move on up the pathway here, up into our last fight, which is Archimonde. I'm pretty sure I said that wrong, but it's really fun to say. It sounds like it could be like a restaurant or something. Now, as we pull in here to the last stage of the fight, the Night Elf Village, we can, I believe we talk to Tyrande Whisperwind, and she provides aid if you want. I think she gives you this thing right here, and it slows your falling speed so you can jump straight down to fight Archimonde, which is kind of fun. I'm pretty sure his name is actually Archimonde, but it's really just too fun to say Archimonde. Oh no! I don't know what happened. Do you know what happened? I don't know. What? Yes, this is exactly where we are. Exactly what we're doing. Nobody died. No mistakes were made. I didn't forget to read how long the slow fall mechanic worked. Nope, not me. So if you're a smart person and not an idiot, you can either walk around this way, because you can mount up, or you'll learn to read how long the slow fall mechanic lasts. No one needs to be talked to start this fight. You just walk right up, say hey, and he starts attacking you. He's a very angry, bitter sort. He's trying to drain the world tree of all its life source and power so he can bring the Burning Legion in and no one can protect it. He's a bad man. This put a gnarly curse on you. 375,000 shadow damage inflicted over 5 minutes. This fight is not going to last 5 minutes, I guarantee you that. Even if you're undergeared. Eventually he does enrage a little bit, but the cool thing about this fight is actually the wisps from the world tree come around and they begin to help you. As you can see, he gets down to 1%, gets all angry, and starts finger of deathing everything. Except you get this cool buff, Protection of Elune. Immune to all attacks and spells, so you can just keep attacking and attacking, doing whatever you want, because at this point you've literally already won the fight. That's it. Kind of embarrassing to get taken down by a bunch of wisps if you think about it. And down he goes. He's clearly upset. And pop goes the weasel. There he is. We loot his armor. This is the bow I was talking about. This thing is pretty dope. If I had a max level hunter, he'd be all over this place. We get our helm token for our tier 6. A little scepter there, a little offhand piece. And there's our helmets. Inventory's full. Too bad. So that is the battle for Mount Hyjal. As you can see, and hopefully not see, I suppose, at the same time. Pretty lengthy, just time consuming again because of scripted events. And if you're a melee class, just trying to work around getting some of those mobs that are in the air down and to be able to damage them. But it's very, very doable, especially with where the game is at right now with damage and health. Definitely recommend bringing your friend. Just more fun this way. Unless you're really not into sharing loot, then I suppose solo it. But again, this has been the battle for Mount Hyjal. How to solo, let's explore. Next on our list is Black Temple, the infamous Black Temple, the legendary Black Temple. That one should be fun. I'm looking forward to that one. Hopefully, guys, you will tune in next time to see that. I hope you enjoyed this run. If you have any questions, as always, please leave it in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, please leave it a thumbs up. It does mean a lot to me. I do appreciate it. It's nice to get that positive feedback. And hopefully the channel will continue to grow. So until next time, I'll see you guys.